Maybe the Big Ten can't throw it, but they sure can run it. Hey, welcome in everyone to the Voice of College Football. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. We appreciate you stopping by. Please like the video and subscribe. Going through the Big Ten position by position, check out the quarterbacks video. We move on to the running backs. We considered 23 for 10 positions. This role is deep and it's talented in this conference. And of course, there's the influx from the West Coast, beginning with Jaquavius Marks of USC. Has yet to play for the Trojans. He's been at Mississippi State. 543 yards on the ground, 4.7 per carry, 4 touchdowns in 2023. Does not sound very impressive. But what he did in the Mike Leach passing game as the primary outlet was pretty remarkable. 60 catches. 83-49 this past season. So he did damage in the passing game. Jaquavius Marks also rated by Pro Football Focus as one of the shiftiest runners in all of college football, top 5 to 10 in the nation in regards to missed tackle rate, and also gets the job in the under-evaluated pass protection aspect. At number 10, Jaquavius Marks, USC. New UCLA head coach Deshaun Foster is a legend at that position at UCLA. Then he moved on to the NFL, the Carolina Panthers. Forged a fine career plus a Super Bowl appearance. He's coached the running back position in the NFL. 7 years as running backs coach at UCLA. So he knows a good one when he sees one. And so expect him to lean on one. TJ Harden, 5.3 yards per carry this past season, 871 yards. Also caught 19 passes out of the backfield, but he was much better down the stretch. Ripped up rival USC for 142 yards on the ground, also 105 in the bowl win against Boise State. At number 9 on our list, TJ Harden, UCLA. Who said the Pac-12 is all about passing? Another entry from the West Coast into our Big Ten running back rankings for 2024 by way of Arizona. Transfer to Washington, Jonah Coleman caught 25 balls and a touchdown out of the backfield. 871 on the ground, a fine 6.8 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. Jonah Coleman moves with Jed Fish from Arizona to Washington. So, of course, you know Fish is going to value his talents and going to feature him in Seattle. Jonah Coleman was lightly regarded coming out of high school and still pins the running back recruiting rankings from his class on his X feed. Jonah Coleman, Washington. Nick Singleton's a heck of a talent, a 5-star who we may hear more of later in this video, but the more consistent, more powerful runner in the Penn State backfield and the more productive back against the better teams has been Katron Allen. 1,800 yards through his first 2 seasons at Penn State. 18 touchdowns, turned in a nice effort against what was most likely the best defense in all of college football. Michigan, 12 carries, 72 yards to keep Penn State in that game in Happy Valley. At number 7 on our list, Penn State's Katron Allen. These rankings here at the Voice of College Football, of course, are subjective, but what is objective is that there is only one Big Ten rushing champion, and he is back, and he's at Rutgers playing for the Scarlet Knights, and that's Kyle Monangai. Consider that he has very little passing game, taking pressure off him. Greg Schiano's a run it between the tackles, shove it down your throat kind of coach, and Kyle Monangai is his kind of running back, and he's obviously leaned on him and will do so even more in 2024. Ethan Kalkumanis could be the starting quarterback at Rutgers, and he's got the arm to take pressure off Monangai, so there could be even better rushing totals for Monangai here in 2024. But he is the Big Ten rushing champion and number 6 on our list, Kyle Monangai, Scarlet Knights. The Oregon offense should be something special in 2024, and one of the centerpieces of that offense is one Jordan James. And consider this, all that he accomplished this past season came on just 3 games of 10-plus carries out of the backfield. He still ran for 759 yards in 2023. That's what you do when you average 7.1 yards per carry and score 11 touchdowns. He's got Noah Whittington to supply the 1-2 punch along with him, but our number 5 running back in the Big Ten is Oregon's Jordan James. Nick Singleton is a home run hitter, but maybe looking for too many home runs through 2 seasons at Penn State, but still the 4th best running back in the Big Ten, according to our rankings here at the Voice of College Football. Nick Singleton, the former 5-star, came in with all sorts of hype and for good reason. Delivered 1,000+ yards, 13 touchdowns as a true freshman. Followed that up with a bit of a disappointing campaign this past season, especially against the better defenses. Ran for 752 yards, 4.4 yards per carry. That's got to get much better for Nick Singleton to maintain this ranking in this conference. But as of right now, we expect big things out of Nick Singleton. These final 3 guys in our Big Ten running back rankings here at the Voice of College Football are difficult to distinguish, not in terms of style, but in terms of quality. They are all superstars in the making, but this first one has been mightily inconsistent. He's an enigma, but when he has shown up, he has shown up in big championship-weighted games, and that's, of course, Donovan Edwards of Michigan. Came in as the arguably number 1 running back in the country, 5-star, and really showed so much promise that first season, and then really was a great compliment running the football, but also as a pass receiver, he's really good in that role. And when he struggled last season mightily for almost the entire season, there were certain recommendations out there that Donovan Edwards needs to be used as a pass receiver first and foremost. But what a run he had at the end of the 2022 season with Blake Corum got hurt against Illinois. Donovan Edwards took over, and yes, he took over. Blasted Illinois, ran through Ohio State for over 200 yards, 175 or so yards in the Big Ten championship game, and then a college football playoff performance against TCU that started with that first play of the game when he raced like 60 yards and ran for $105 against TCU. That's set up for a huge 2023 with Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. Well, Blake Corum was there. What happened to Donovan Edwards? When he was in the games, he couldn't run. Averaged less than 4 yards per carry. And then, boom, we see him with a huge run against Penn State. And then we see him start to move it against Ohio State down the stretch. And then, of course, wham, in the national championship game against a decent Washington defense, Donovan Edwards shows himself again. So he's the enigma right now. Will he be a guy that can be counted on every week? There is no Blake Corum anymore. There are other capable backs that can step in if Donovan Edwards is not that guy. So he's probably the biggest wild card. Check that. He is the biggest wild card of the top 3 and probably the biggest wild card on this list. But a mega talent, and when he has shown up, he has shown up. Number 3 on our list, Donovan Edwards, Michigan. Top 2 running backs in the Big Ten and maybe the top 2 running backs in all of college football play in the same location, at the Horseshoe in Columbus. Number 2 is Quinshon Judkins. The first time I saw him play was in 2022, early in the season, lightly regarded, so he was not one of these guys that was hyped coming into college football. And I was like, where did this guy come from? Why have I not heard of this guy? He is a beast. Ran for almost 1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns in that Ole Miss 2022 season. Got nicked up, injured, got off to a slow start this past year, but still ran for 15 touchdowns. He's a monster, he's a beast, and he's going to share the carries and the backfield, not begrudgingly. This is a good thing for a team that should be playing 16 or 17 football games this year. Travion Henderson, our number 1 back, of course, ran for 1,200 yards in that record-setting performance against Tulsa, broke Archie Griffin's records a couple seasons ago as a freshman. Had a down year in 2022, and then bam, here in 2023, still got injured, still missed significant time, still missed the Penn State game in particular, but Travion Henderson showed me something this past year. When fully healthy, before he was the guy that looked pretty, that looked right, that looked perfect when the play was blocked. What he showed in 2023 is that he's got a will, he's got a desire, and he's got some weight and some effort and some want-to behind those shoulder pads. I thought I was watching a different running back until he got into the open field, because when he gets into the open field, he is the best in this conference maybe the best in college football. Ran for just shy of 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns, and that's with missing some time. Has caught 50 passes in his career for 5 touchdowns. And if you want to see his impact there, check out the Rutgers game when the Scarlet Knights were threatening Ohio State in the fourth quarter. He takes a little dump-off pass right in the middle of the field. What's impressive about this, he was at a standstill when he caught the football, turned the corner, nobody could catch him until it was like 65 yards later. Number 2 is Quinshon Judkins of Ohio State. Number 1 is Travion Henderson of Ohio State, our Big Ten running back rankings. And again, we looked at 23 guys. Some of the incoming freshmen to look out for here. You got James Peoples of Ohio State, Quentin Martin, Jordan Marshall of Michigan, of course, Dylan Jones as well, and a number of guys. And also be looking out for honorable mentions. LeSean Williams of Iowa ran for 821 yards last year and had big efforts against Nebraska with 114 yards, in Wisconsin in the biggest game of the year for the Hawkeyes, 174 yards against that Wisconsin defense. And then, of course, the guy that was at one point the number 1 back in front of Bo Allen, and that's Clemson transfer Ches Malusi at Wisconsin. When he's been healthy, he's been right. 6 yards per carry this past season, but he keeps getting hurt. Go back to his 2021 and look at those games against the likes of Penn State, Illinois, and Purdue. Running back rankings here at the Voice of College Football in the Big Ten. Leave your comments below. Hit that like button, and of course, subscribe right here for the best discussion, debate, and analysis at the Voice of College Football.